There are two numbers that you need to fall in love with in business. All right, two numbers that you fall in love with, that you measure consistently, monitor regularly, and adjust accordingly. Right? So let's put them. We'll put them up on here. We're gonna call these. We're gonna call them CAC, and we're gonna call them LTV. All right. So the first one, right? Customer acquisition cost, right? So what does it cost you to buy a customer? Things going off. What does it cost you to buy a customer? Customer acquisition cost, right? You understand that you and I are in the game of buying customers, right? We just got to make sure we're buying them for less than we're selling to them, right? And the bit in the middle is what you get to run your business from. Customer acquisition cost. So there's a couple of ways to do this. You could look at your entire marketing budget and work it out, or if you are super smart, you would do it per lead source, okay? So let me give you the maths just so you've got the whole picture. The way you work out your customer acquisition cost, it's actually really, really easy to work out. It's your total marketing budget divided by the number of new customers over a period of time. Total marketing budget divided by number of new customers over a period of time. So for example, if I spent $20,000 on marketing over 1 year and I brought in 40 new customers, then each customer cost me $500, right? And some of you would have a customer acquisition cost of $4 and some of you would have a customer acquisition cost of $4,000. But you need to know that number. And then if you're really smart, right, and you want to be a good steward, then you would start looking at, okay, what's my customer acquisition cost from Facebook? What's my customer acquisition cost from Google AdWords? What's my customer acquisition cost from trade shows? And with every pillar you've got, start to measure that number, okay? Because ultimately, when we get our customer acquisition cost, we want to drive our CAC down and get our LTV to go through the roof. Lifetime value. So this is what it costs to buy them. What's the lifetime value of a customer for you, right? Not the first purchase. You know, most people when they think business, they think, what does a customer buy from me? But the real maths is, what do they buy from you over time? Okay. So, if you owned a bakery, for example, some people come in every day for fresh bread. Some people come in once a week for fresh bread. Some people come in once in their lifetime because they're traveling through town. But somewhere in there is a lifetime value, an average lifetime value for a customer, okay? So, if the average person spends $36 every 9 weeks for 3 years, you can work out what the lifetime value of a customer is as an average, okay? This one's a little bit harder to work out. If you've got like Zero Accounting or one of those onlines, I think it's a little bit easier because it can tell you a lot of this. At the very least, what you're going to have to do is go to your customer list, okay, look at how much your customers are spending over a period of time, and then work out the mean average of them all, right? So if there's 50 customers, add up everything they've spent, divide it by 50, and you'll get the mean average there, and then you can get that number, right? So let's say, for example, that my customer acquisition cost was $100. And my lifetime value was $2,750, okay? Now, obviously, even if you were working at a 50% GP, which I may lose some of you now, but if I don't talk about GP, then the maths whiz will be like, well, I don't get to keep $2,750. I understand. Even at a 50% GP, I've now got $1,325 for my 100, right? We don't have to be a genius to know that that's a really good investment. Spend 100, get 1,300. But sometimes it's much tighter than that, right? Spend 100, get 300 at a 50% GP, which means I only get $150 for my 100. Is that a good idea? Well, it's not ideal, but it's more money than you started with, okay? But unless you know the numbers, unless you know your CAC and your LTV, it's very hard to do anything about it, all right? This one's really quick to work out. You can do that from your profit and loss and your customer list. This one you have to spend a little bit more time on to work out your averages. But you need to know this, because then once you know your numbers, you drive your CAC down and your LTV up, and the difference between driving down and driving up, the difference is mostly profit, right? That's the name of the game. Driving your customer acquisition cost down, the lifetime value up, and as long as you're shifting those two numbers, the bit in the middle is the money that you get to keep, and life gets a lot better.